We are talking land today. We are talking about 1 acre land scenarios in the East Tennessee area. So this is kind of part of a series where I've been talking about land. I've talked specifically about Knox County land. I've talked specifically about waterfront or lakefront land. So today we're looking at 1 acre. What's it going to cost me in the East Tennessee area? And so this came about because I often have people that call that say, I would like land and I would like an acre with a creek, with a mountain view, with septic, with a driveway, whatever. So we're gonna kind of start from broad and work our way down. And I do just want to also say, like, in general, I'm working off data that is a moment in time. So we are taking this as a quick snapshot, right? So these numbers are for the date and time at which I pulled the data. So just kind of keep that in mind. This definitely is a data heavy video. I don't think there's anything like, woo, this is so fun, unless you just love data. Okay. But let's dive in and talk about 1 acre, lots of land in East Tennessee. Okay, so before we dive in, I just want to kind of ground you in general about land pricing. Land can be quite expensive. I think the idea that people have is like, oh, if I buy land, it's going to be cheaper if I buy the land and then I build on it. Well, that could be true, but it all depends on where you're buying. It all depends on, is the land cleared? Are there utilities there? Are there, like, what's going on with the land? Is it straight up a cliff? Can you actually even build on it? I mean, you could theoretically build on anything, right? But everything has a price. So yeah, is it possible to build on the side of a cliff? Absolutely. Do you want to do that? For me, it's a no, but you might want to do that. So just keep that in mind. Now, in general, when we're talking about pricing, at the current moment in time, your most expensive price per acre is going to be Loudon County. Think Tellico, think Lenoir City, think Von Orr, Rarity Bay, Wind River, all that stuff. So that's going to be your most expensive land. That does also include Tennessee National. And then you've got Blount County, Sevier County, Knox County. So Knox County sits at number 4, price per acre, $304,000 per acre. Now that's all acreages. Again, a snapshot in time. Loudon County sits at about $480,000 price per acre. And then also of note is Loudon County also has which this tracks, right? Because if it would have the most expensive, it's probably gonna have smaller acre lots. Now also, it average acres listed for sale are 4.5, and it accounts for about 6% of land listings. Then if we compare that to Knox County average price per acre, $304,000, average acres 8.7, so almost double what Loudon County has available, but Knox County is about 4.3% of all land listings. Currently, again, at the snapshot in time. Sevier County is another one. It was number 3 when it comes to price per acre. It's got the largest number of average acres at 11.18 acres, $367,000 per acre, which is right on par with where Blount County is. And then also of note is Sevier County accounts for about 8% of land listings, and Blount County about 6.7. So you can see the chart I provided, just to kind of get a rundown. And I did not include everything on there, but if you want to know everything, if you want to see the full chart, just let me know. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me. All right, so let's get into, what are we talking about? So Knox County accounts for about less than 5% of overall land listings. The day that I pulled this data, there were 4,391 total land listings. And again, Knox County was less than 5%. So we're looking at this wide East Tennessee area. The other thing that I want to make note of is that at the time of pulling this data, there were 4,000, like I said, 391 land listings, land only. And there were 5,409 home listings. So more homes than land. Which I think is interesting. I would have thought it was opposite. I always feel like everyone's like, I have a plot to list or whatever. But interestingly, our inventory has come back up, but that's still a pretty significantly low inventory for the area, but I did think that was an interesting data. So now let's get into the meat of this, which is talking about 1 acre lot scenarios. So of these 4,391 listings, 1,944, about 45% are 1 acre or less. Minimum price, $1,000. Max price, $1.85 million. And that $1.85 million it's on the water, it's a lake lot, it's beautiful, but it's also not sold yet, right? So there's that. Of these 1 acre lots, 60% have restrictions. So 1,196, 60% of those have restrictions. Of those that are restricted, we're looking at a price range of $2,000 to $1.65 million. So 60% with restrictions. Those could be anything from like a deed restriction. That could be, you know, saying like you can't put certain things on here. There could be an HOA restriction that's like, you know, architectural requirements about the house that you can build, the size, how big, if you do a 1-story, how big does it have to be? So there's a plethora of things. Can you have a fence? What kind of fence can it be? What's the materials? All those things. So 1 acre or less without restrictions are 798. So 18% of 1 acre listings do not have restrictions. Which is interesting. That should come to 100%. So I think some people have listed just not answering that question at all. So there's some gray there. There's a little bit of gray. What about 1 acre lots that do not have restrictions and have a mountain view? So who would be asking for this? A lot of people. A lot of people are like, I want 1 acre. I don't want any restrictions. I want to do what I want to do. So that would be 406 total listings, minimum price at $8,000 and max price at $1 million. So not a ton of those options out there. 400 of 4,000 are 1 acre without a mountain view, no restrictions, or with a mountain view without restrictions. What about 1 acre that do not have restrictions, have a mountain view, and have a creek? You would be amazed how many people want 1 acre with a mountain view and a creek. There's 2 total listings. And the maximum price, one of them is at $100,000 and one's at $130,000. Now you're like, well, that's not that bad. I can bet that these listings are both off the side of a cliff and they'd be very hard to build. So that's about 0.045% of all listings that have mountain view and a creek and no restrictions. So that is a rare gem. If you found it, that's what you want, you gotta jump on it. What about 1 acre lakefront or waterfront? That was 229 of the total listings. Minimum 9,360. Max again was that 1.85 million. What about 1 acre lake or waterfront and level? Okay, so we can go in, when we list a land lot, we can go in and say, you can talk about like the topography, and you can say it's rolling, you can say it's steep, you can say it's wooded, you can say it's cleared. So you've got all these different things. Now, when you're looking at this kind of data, remember that we as humans are entering it in. There's not like a standardization of like what exactly is a mountain view. So for example, if you're looking at a house and it says there's a mountain view, well, that mountain view could literally be off your front porch. It's going to change your life every morning. It's where you have your mental space. Or it could be a mountain view out of the bathroom window that you can only see in the wintertime when the trees don't have leaves. Okay, so both of those are mountain views. They're not the same. So I just want to say, when you see those things, it's all, you know, left to interpretation. So anyways, that being said, if we're talking about, and so the whole reason I got onto that is because when you see level, what someone from East Tennessee might call level is different than what someone from Dallas, Texas might call level, right? Dallas is like you land in there and you're like, oh my gosh, it's flat. You can see for days. You can see for days. But, or like recently I landed in Sacramento, you could see for days. So when we say level here, what we think is level as a like full-time born and raised East Tennessean is going to be different than what somebody from Dallas or Sacramento or whatever flat place you could think of. So of those, so if we say 1 acre lake or waterfront level, there are 24 total listings. Very few listings, and those range from 22,900, which that's probably not a great lot. If it's, especially for one, if it's on the water and it's that cheap, but for 2, it's level, like something else is wrong. And then the max would be $1 million. So that's a huge difference. And that could also be when we talk water and lakefront, when you're looking at land. The other question here to talk about and ask and remember is, do you have year-round water? And I'm not talking about water in the house. Someone asked me that the other day. She goes, water in the house or at the lake? At the lake or at the river. Some locations, depending on where that lot is, it will only have water, you know, April to the end of August or September-ish. You're not gonna have water all year round at every waterfront lot. So keep that in mind, because you might see these beautiful pictures that were taken in the summer or when the water's up, and then you get there in October, November, December, and it looks like a mud pit in your backyard. So things to think about. So those are just some quick 1 acre land scenarios. The whole point is just to say, like, yes, we do have land here, but you know, you really want to weigh what is required, why you want the land, what's required of it. Are you okay with restrictions? And some restrictions are fine. Like some of the restrictions you'll read, they'll say no outdoor toilet. I was reading the one the other day that said you can't have hogs on the property, and like that was the literal restriction. So that's not necessarily all bad. It's just trying to figure out what you can and can't tolerate, what you need. If you know, maybe you want more restrictions, maybe you want more rules, then you know that you're going to be buying something in that area. So, or in that kind of purview or whatever. So anyways, just some quick stats about 1 acre lots. I started with 1 acre because that's kind of the most often thing I get, you know, oh, about an acre. Some things that I think people sometimes think we have are neighborhoods that have giant acreages, 2 to 5 acres. We don't have a ton of those options, and we also don't have land lots that just have like a slip for a boat. That's another question I've gotten. So certainly, hopefully this is just kind of a good starting point for you to kind of get an idea of like what land looks like here. Because yeah, while there are 4,391 listings for land, they're certainly not all created equal, and the more specific you get about a creek or mountain view or whatever, the less you're going to have options and the more price you're going to pay for something that's buildable. Again, everything is buildable. It's just whether or not you want to front the money for that magical thing you want to build. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful. As always, click subscribe. I have so much more information to share with you. I'm Haley Jones, and I'll see you on the next video.